And you know the drill. It's up to us to figure out who was the Grinch that stole Christmas. Happy apple picking day! A few reminders for the room. People have different experiences and come from different branches of the apple tree, and it's very likely that you guys won't have the same experiences, so you won't have the same opinions on things. And that's okay. We encourage civil discussions down in the comments, but if you can't keep it civil, maybe we stay off the keyboard for a few. It's crazy to think that if you yell at someone and insult them, they're gonna think that your ideas are good ones, right? Like, we're all aware of that? Yeah, that's common sense, right? So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking! Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for exposing my mother-in-law during Christmas dinner? I, 34 female, am married to my husband, 37 male, and we've been married for about a year. His mom is snoopy and super annoying. And as my in-laws say, she can't help it. It's just the way she is. My husband and I purchased a new house recently, and my mother-in-law keeps pushing to be given an emergency key. She promised that she's only gonna use it in an emergency, but given the fact that she had an emergency key to our old apartment and walked in on us being intimate numerous times before, I don't trust her. Even though my husband, for whatever reason, doesn't think it's that big of a deal. After she kept pushing, I just sent her a fake key, and she kind of had this smug look on her face after I gave it to her. Days go by, and on Christmas dinner, my mother-in-law angrily called me out on the fact that I gave her a fake key. She shamed me for doing this in front of the entire family, but in my defense, I asked her, hey, how did you find out that it was a fake key? She said days ago that she came over to our place at 4 while my husband and I were out at work. I said, oh, didn't you promise that you weren't gonna use the key unless it was an emergency? So you tried to get into our home when there was no emergency and neither of us were even at our house. Why were you going over there? And doesn't that mean you broke the promise that you made to us? She looked mortified. Her face was so funny, other family members started staring and giggling at the face she was making. She suddenly got up from her chair, rushed into the kitchen, and had a huge meltdown. It was so loud, I wouldn't be surprised if the next door neighbors heard her. Seriously, what kind of a 60-year-old woman throws a tantrum like that? My husband was not happy with me either. He went off on me in the car saying that I lied and manipulated and humiliated his mom in front of the whole family. He said that if he knew what I was gonna do, he never would have let me get away with it. We had an argument and he's demanding that I apologize to his mom for my childish behavior and for ruining Christmas dinner for the whole family. Did I take it too far? Like, was I the bad apple? My big question is, why is it the end of the world that you lied and manipulated, but like not when his mom did it to you? That's like the big red flag in my brain right now. That it's okay for her to lie and manipulate and like go into your private home and finagle and do whatever she wants at your private residence whenever, and like she's fine to do all that, but like you give your mother-in-law a taste of her own medicine and now it's the end of the world and you have to apologize. Like, I don't really like that. And I'm not saying that I would have done the same thing. I really don't know what I would have done in that situation. I don't know, thinking about it. If she tried to like call me out like that in front of everybody, I probably definitely would have defended myself in some type of way. I don't know what I would have done, to be honest. In my like family and household, like I'm usually the one that's like more outspoken, like, hey, this was weird, why'd you do that? But other family members just aren't. So I don't know what I would have done, but it definitely is weird to me that the husband is like so like, oh, I can't believe you did this, blah, 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 but like can't hold the mom just as accountable for her lying and her manipulating and her finagling and like her embarrassing people and her making people uncomfortable, because like that to me is weird. I don't think it would be appropriate to say like, oh, you ruined Christmas and but like you didn't, because if the mom didn't try to call you out in front of everyone, what did she think, that you were just gonna take it? Like, how, I don't know how she thought that was that was gonna go. Like, she wanted to shame you in front of everyone, and it got turned around on her. If they didn't want Christmas to be ruined in that manner, maybe we don't try to shame anybody at holiday family dinner. You know what I mean? Like, that just feels like it makes more sense to me. Why are we trying to upset anyone? Why are we trying to hurt anybody? Like, if that's your intention at holiday dinner, you can't be upset when it gets turned around on you. Like, that's so hypocritical to me. So I'm going to go good apple on that one, because like what else would you do? It just feels weird to me. And like, you weren't even like turning anything around on her. Like, she said, hey, why did you give me this fake key? I tried breaking into your place when you weren't there, even though I promised that I wouldn't. And like, you gave me a fake key. I absolutely would say, well, I didn't want to give you one because you keep showing up and you promised you wouldn't. And this is why I didn't want to. Like, I think explaining in that way, like, you're not getting someone and you're not calling her out. Like, you're just explaining yourself. And was that not what she was looking for? An explanation as to why you tricked her? Like, I'm going good apple on this one. And that husband is kind of a little bit of a throwing some red flags my way. Like, I don't know if maybe I'm a paranoid person, but that's just kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Am I paranoid, or like, is this guy a little red flaggy? Apple number 2. Y'all, I was gonna put on like this cute little hat, but I don't know where it went. Sad, and my hair's a little. Am I the bad apple for not wanting coal for Christmas? This year, I went to my fiance's house for Christmas. This was my first time going, as we typically would go to my family's house instead. I got a pretty pricey gift for my fiance, Dan, that's pretty related to his hobbies. I got really nice gifts for Dan's parents based off of things that I've heard them talk about and talked with them about before, and I got some small package of chocolates for each of his other relatives that I just don't know well enough to get a personal gift. I wasn't expecting many gifts from Dan's relatives because I don't really know a lot of them yet, but I was expecting not that. At first, I was kind of excited when I saw that there was a big pile of gifts for me, because who doesn't love gifts? However, once I opened the first one, it was a piece of coal. Everyone laughed and giggled, and I just kind of laughed and thought it was a gag gift and that all the others would be different, but they weren't. Every single one turned out to be coal. 18 bags of coal. I started to get really upset, and so I cried and I lashed out at Dan. He calmly explained that apparently this is a long-standing tradition in his family where they gift coal to newcomers who are celebrating Christmas for the first time with them. He explained that it's just easier that way, since all the relatives who might not know the newcomer don't have to stress over finding a gift, and it's a fun experience for everybody. I told Dan I couldn't believe I skipped my own family celebration for this and just left. Now Dan and some of his relatives are blowing up my phone, saying that I embarrassed him in front of his relatives and that I made it awkward for everybody. So was I the bad apple? I have so many thoughts on this. So like, I have 2 really big thoughts on pranks and gags and blah, 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 blah. And I say this all the time. And like, hold on, keyboard warriors, like, hear me out for a second before you go crazy. I hate the new age pranks that are like just set up to make someone upset or ruin someone's day, or like, I hate those. I hate those. Because when the whole point is to just upset someone and get their reaction, to me that's gross. Like, and especially when it's a loved one, right? When the whole ha-ha is, look at how sad I made the person that I love. Like, why is that funny? I don't understand the whole premise of, I think it's really funny when I make the person I love sad. Like, that makes no sense to me. And then the other thing that kind of pops into my brain is, and I did a video on this and so many parents got mad. A lot of parents are on my side about it, but it was so interesting watching the ones who felt so offended by this. There is a video online of, Elf on the Shelf. And the elf in the middle of the night drew all over this kid's face. And the kid woke up and was so upset and even started yelling at this elf. Like, why would you do that to me? Why would you do this to me? I thought you were my friend. Like, it was really sad. And I made a point, and like, so many people in the comments were trying to defend it, but like, well, my niece would find that so so funny. Okay, so like, congratulations. You know your kid. Like, do you want a medal? You know your kid's sense of humor. Because that kid didn't think it was funny. Like, just because Sally down the street thinks something's funny doesn't mean, well, Joe didn't think it was funny, but that's his fault. Like, he could just be upset because Sally thought it was funny, so it's gotta be funny for everybody. No. That's not how that works, okay? Different people have different senses of humor, right? Some kids might have woken up and seen an elf drew on their face and like, ha ha, that's so funny, I'm gonna talk about this with my friends all day. Great. And there are some kids who don't. If you take the time to know your kid and you know they wouldn't find that funny, don't do it. If you know someone enough to the point that you're gonna marry them, you should know if she would think it was funny to get her coal, nothing but coal for Christmas, right? And like, that's not even like the biggest issue that I have with this. You knew that she's going to get real presents. She's going to take the time to get as many personal presents for everyone as she possibly can. And she's going to take the time and the money as a young person in this economy to make sure everyone felt special and thought of. You couldn't give her a heads up. Hey babe, why don't we not do presents? Why don't we like set up the mood? Set it up to where she would take it as a joke. Set it up to where she doesn't feel like a slap in the face. If she knows your parents, and especially you should have gotten her something real under that tree too. But if your parents and her have enough of a relationship that they can get her personalized gifts, like, I'm not understanding why they would also get her coal. But like, I don't know, I just can't imagine like a family meeting someone for the first time is what I'm getting at. That, not the parents, but the relatives, meeting someone, introducing them to the family for the first time and setting it up to like embarrass them in front of everyone. Ha 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 ha, it's so funny when you're embarrassed and you feel silly, but oh no, you embarrassed Dan, and now he's the one that's embarrassed, and that makes you bad. Am I the only one hearing the hypocrisy in that? Like, I have so many problems with it. I have so many issues, especially when you're like, hey, we usually spend Christmas with your family. Let's do something different and special. But like, you set it up wrong. You couldn't just give her a warning or some kind of like setup of, you don't need to spend that kind of money, or we don't need to do gifts. And I know there's gonna be some people in the comments that are like, oh, well, she should just take a joke. First of all, not everyone would think that was a joke. I don't know if I would or not. It depends on exactly what my next point is. How much money did I spend on these other gifts? Thoughtful gifts that I would have spent time, energy, and effort and money picking out. Like, that matters. Like, the whole reason that my husband hates receiving presents is because he doesn't need to receive anything from anyone, and he doesn't want things from people. But he takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to figure out what could they use, what could they need, what have they talked about a lot in the last year that they would really appreciate. And when people don't do that for him, he gets disappointed. Like, he already doesn't want to take gifts from people. He doesn't want anyone spending money on him. But then when he's like, oh, they don't know me at all, like, that just kind of to the gut for him. Because some people take gift giving very seriously. And I'm not saying that this girl is like that. We don't know. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Like, we're not projecting facts onto the story. But like, that's what's running through my mind of reasons that she's upset and reasons that she should be and could be upset, you know? Like, I think this whole thing is so weird. Like, you see those things on TikTok where it's like, oh, my brother brought his girlfriend over for the first time and we made her believe we like say the Pledge of Allegiance at the table. That is funny. At least to me. Some people might not think that's funny. Because to me, that's not like singling someone out. It's not like ruining a holiday. It's not taking them away from another experience. Like, this is a family holiday that you put her on the spot and like had everyone stare and laugh at her, where you gave her something embarrassing, right? When you receive coal for Christmas, it's this idea of, you're bad, you only deserve coal. Like, that's the spot that you're putting her on in front of everyone for the first time. And you took her away from her parents' house for Christmas and you ruined the holiday. To me, the reason those other things are different is because everyone is doing something silly. Everyone looks ridiculous. Everyone is a part of. You're not taking another experience away from her. You're not doing anything to her. Like, to me, that's different. And there might be some people who think that they're not different at all. And you know what? That's okay. We just have different experiences and different perspectives. But to make things short, I think this prank was wrong and not funny. I'm sure there are people out there who would think it was funny. I don't know if I would have found it funny or not. I don't know. I've been married to my husband for a while. We've been together for 10 years. I just know him well enough to know that he wouldn't do that. So like, I don't know if I would find it funny or not, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying, oh, they're all bad for doing it all the time. I'm saying that it wasn't funny and it wasn't okay because overall, like, I think it was just so careless. He should have known her enough to know it wasn't funny. He should have stopped her from spending all this extra money on gifts for everyone else. Like, there's just so much that went into it that, to me, the overall experience was just not funny. Like, what's the haha, you're embarrassed but we're not allowed to be? Like, I don't like that. So I'm going good apple. The fact that like they played a prank on you, you got upset and cried, and they're blaming you for ruining the fun. Like, maybe they're just not funny. But you know, what do I know? I'm just, just bestowing upon the good apple for Christmas. She can at least have that. It's better than coal. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for laughing at my son? My son is almost 17. This Christmas, we brought him a very expensive gaming computer chair as he plays a lot of online multiplayer games. My son has some anger issues in which he's currently in therapy for. These games tend to bring out even more of his temper than usual. However, the past few months he's been keeping it together pretty well, so we figured the chair would be a really good present. I was wrong. The day after Christmas when he was gaming, I guess he started to have bad luck with people in the game, and he got so mad he lost his patience. He started screaming profanities, then picked up his gaming chair and slammed it into the ground, breaking the back of it like in half. After talking him down, we had a very serious conversation about him no longer being able to play these multiplayer games, at least not under my roof. Not until his therapist feels comfortable with his progress. I made it very clear that this was unacceptable and he would be grounded. We've had these hearts-to-hearts so many times. I mean, it's not like every time he has these outbursts I make light of it. It's a very serious issue and is always treated as such. However, when he came to me later that day and told me he'd like me to replace the chair because it was a gift and I really liked it, so it would only be fair. The frustration, disbelief, and disappointment in his behavior boiled over and I started laughing hysterically. Like a full-on laughing fit, barely able to breathe, barely able to talk. And the more he'd plead his case, the harder I'd laugh. I just repeatedly asked him how it was fair in his mind for me to replace a gift that he broke in anger. That obviously pissed him off even more, which led to him getting emotional, but I just couldn't seem to stop myself. I tried walking into another room and asking him to drop it so I could calm down, but every time he'd say, "But I need a chair," or, "Well, what am I supposed to do now?" I'd just laugh again. I tried to explain to him that I'm not laughing at his feelings. I'm laughing at how absurd it is for him as a teenager to expect me to replace crap that he can't be bothered to treat with respect and then whine about when he breaks it. He's so mad about it and he feels very slighted. I do feel really bad for laughing and honestly wonder if I had some sort of mini stress break myself because that's never happened before and I couldn't seem to stop. But at the same time, I stand by the fact that his request was ridiculous enough to make most people want to laugh. So I'm sure I'm the bad apple, but I just want to know how bad, I guess. Let me tell you what I loved the most about this whole entire thing. This mom or dad, I don't know which one, I don't think it's specified, but this parent made sure to let their kid know, look, I'm not laughing at your feelings, I'm laughing at the request. I'm laughing at the absurdity of this request, okay? And I think that's so important because even though, in my opinion, the kid was being ridiculous. Not only is that such an absurd way for a 17-year-old to act, to then turn around and be like, I know you spent all this money on this chair and I broke it in anger, so like you obviously need to just replace it. No, this kid has no control over their emotions, no regard for his own things, much less other people's things, other people's money that they're contributing to his temper tantrums. And also no like awareness of financial awareness of like money and how much things cost. Like in this economy, this is a really good video for that this week, I swear. But I really loved how the parent was like, I'm not laughing at your feelings. Your feelings are valid. I'm laughing at the entitledness that you're expressing. I love that. And you know what? I don't have kids. We all know that, okay? I'm not a parental expert, so there might be some people who hear what I'm about to say and they're like, oh my God, Rebecca, you're so terrible, blah, 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 blah. There might be. I don't know. If there's something wrong with what I'm about to say, I'm sure people in the comments will let me know. But as I'm not a parent, I don't have the experience and I don't have that perspective. I only know what I know. It is what it is. I feel like, as someone who is in the gamer world, I know I don't do a lot of content in that, but like Avery and I play video games with the Discord of guys every single night. Every single night. Most mods that I have on everything, whether it be Discord or Reddit or whatever, they're all from that Discord because I don't even know how to really work Discord. They just kind of did it for me. Bless their hearts. Every night, like I know how mad gaming things get. I know, I'm aware, okay? I know. But to me, it doesn't feel unreasonable for this kid who is constantly losing his temper, constantly shouting the profanities, constantly breaking things in anger because he loses it over a video game, to see that his ridiculous behavior is pushing his mom to the break where like it's just like comical at this point that we're here. And like, you're almost 17. In about a year, you will be considered an adult and you're still acting this way? Excuse me? I don't think anyone playing games should be acting that way. Like, it's so funny. Whenever we play a lot of League of Legends, for those that don't know, like that community is known to be just, it can be toxic, which is why I like playing with our friends because it like limits that. But it's just so funny to me sometimes seeing people take a kid's game so seriously. My God, like I know no one wants to lose, right? Like people are playing to win, but like my guy, this is a kid's game. Like you're not gonna remember it in an hour, this one, like you're gonna play 3 more after. I digress. I can only imagine the kind of craziness parents deal with and feel on a daily basis. And like to me, it doesn't seem insane for a parent to be so overwhelmed and stressed and like fed up with the situation that like nervous laughter just explodes. Because especially as a teacher, like there were a lot of very serious situations that we would cover in class, and sometimes kids who like don't know how to express uncomfortability, don't know how to express like how upset they are. Sometimes they just giggle out of nervousness and uncomfortability, not because they really think it's funny, but because like that's it, like you know what I mean? And whether or not this parent was just uncomfortable or anxious or stressed or whatever, like I don't feel like, especially with her disclaiming like I'm not laughing at your feelings, it's just the absurdity of what you're asking me. I don't personally feel like she was wrong. And I'm sure that they're like, you know, again, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. I don't have this experience. She even said, like, this might have been a mini stress break. I feel like shaming people for involuntary, like, oh, I'm so nervous and anxious, I giggled. Like, just like I'm not going to shame someone or if they die in a game. Like, what? Now, you can control the words that you say. You can control if you're saying profanities. You can control if you're standing up and throwing it, hitting something, right? Like, you can control your actions. But, like, I don't know, I'm gonna go good apple, and I will let you guys in the comments if I'm wrong, if there's something that I'm missing. I will let you guys let me know, because his request was ridiculous and entitled, and ugh. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for uninviting my mom's husband to Christmas? I, 26 female, am married to my husband, 27 male, and we have a daughter, Jade, of 15 months. My mom, 45 female, has been dating and married to M, around 45 male, for 15 years. And it's been a rough 15 years. The longest they've ever gone without fighting and breaking up is about a year and a half. Normally it's once every few months or so. M is a narcissist and is lazy and mean. He's never intentionally hurt my mom, but like physically, but there was one time an argument and a scuffle over a laundry basket caused her to fall and hit her head. This September, they had a massive blowout because he wasn't helping around the house and he wasn't helping with my nephew that my mom raises and he couldn't hold down a job. After years of begging him to help out, they separated and he moved across the country to move in with his sister. Then he spent the next month telling anyone who would listen how it was all my mom's fault that they split because she's arrogant and she thinks she's better than me. But even people who've only known them for a few months can see he's very narcissistic and he was definitely the major fault for the separation. Me and my siblings were all thrilled when he left. Like, he's never done anything particularly fatherly towards us, and none of us feel any familiar love for him, even after a decade and a half. We all hoped that our mom was gonna move on, but within a week after finding out he was blaming her for their separation, I guess they talked and worked it all out. 'Cause she was at fault too, and apparently he's moving back in. Great. My mom's clearly in a cycle of trauma bonding and abuse. She is an adult and she can make her own decisions, and I've tried to get through to her, but there's nothing I can do. Like, she really just needs therapy. But I do have a daughter who is watching everyone around her and learning from the people around her. I don't want her to grow up thinking that my mom and her husband have a healthy relationship. I don't want her to have them as any sort of role model. My sister is in her own toxic relationship now, and we just don't need more of that around Jade. So I told my mom that I don't want her husband to be a part of my family's lives. And my husband agrees. I told her that includes Christmas, and that if she wants to see us for the holidays, he can't be there. She thinks I'm being unreasonable and that I should give him another chance because he's changed. But I know narcissists are good at pretending they've changed, and me and my husband give it about 6 months or less before they separate again, and that's being generous. But now my mom doesn't know if she even wants to see us for Christmas because she won't separate from her partner during holiday events. I refuse to cut contact with my mom. Like, I love her and I want her to be a part of her granddaughter's life, but I just don't want Em around. So, am I the bad apple? Oh, I have so many thoughts. Okay, so where do I start? If you decide it's best for you to cut contact with a family member, like, that's your choice. Like, I don't think it's anyone else's business or choice or whatever. Like, it's not my business to judge you for it. You do what you feel like you need to do. Will I agree or disagree? Yeah, but like, who am I to you? Nobody, you know? Who is anyone else to you? Like, nobody. This is your decision and your family. This is one of those situations where I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's so great that your daughter is 15 years old and you're already aware of the kinds of relationships that are in front of her. I think that's really responsible. I think that's so sweet and beautiful, and like, I really just love that. Like, I think that's very sweet. The issue is, and this might be a little hard to hear, like you said, your mom is a grown adult, and it does sound like she's kind of trauma bonded with this individual. Now, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. Like, I can't actually diagnose those things, just that everyone is aware. But like, it sounds pretty spot on the way that you've described it. And I don't know, but I feel like eventually, especially as Jade gets older, I feel like a choice might have to be made. Like, if your mom is really putting her foot down and is like, he's here to stay, blah, 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 I'm not missing out on important events, like, you might have to choose what is important to you. Like, it's very possible you might have to revisit the idea of cutting contact with your mom. I really hope that doesn't become the case, and I truly hope that, you know, that she does get the help that she needs. And I could also be way off, like, but based off of my experiences, when grown adults genuinely feel like there's nothing wrong with their decisions and that they're not hurting anyone and everything's all sunshine and roses in their eyes, and you don't agree with them, in my experience, I have seen those grown adults try to go behind your back and create a situation so that they can say, see, look, nothing bad happened. It's so great. And so like that's kind of my fear, where my head is at, is that like, will you allow Jade to go to her house? Will you allow Jade to spend a day or two there if your mom promises he won't be, like, you know what I mean? And I feel like, I guess I'm just kind of getting ahead of myself and I'm projecting. I just feel for you and I just worry that is the future coming for you. But I don't think it's wrong at all to say, look, I love you and I want you to be a part of, and I want you to be a part of not just my life, but your granddaughter's life. But this guy, you know, you're an adult and you can make your own decisions, but my decision for my daughter is that she's not around him. And I think that's your choice as a mom, like absolutely. I think that's a good decision. Like if you've decided this person is not healthy for her to look up to and exemplify as she gets older, yeah, like you're the child's mom. Who is anyone to tell you otherwise? Like, you know, like especially if your husband agrees, like the dad agrees, you guys are on the same page, that's your kid, that's your choice. Your mom will not be happy about it and she might not accept it, but it's not her decision to accept or be happy about. You made your decision to exclude her husband. Just know it also might be possible that since you have excluded her husband, she might then make the decision to cut off with you. Anything can happen in those kinds of things. She could try to finagle behind your back. She could cut you off completely. I don't really know. I think there's a lot of possibilities, and it can be really scary when someone is brainwashed and trauma bonded like that. And I truly do wish you all the best, because that's terrifying. But I'm going good apple. And that is one I don't think that I will be budging on. I just won't. I can't see many scenarios where people would disagree with me either, like with a good valid reason, you know what I mean? So it looks like there definitely were some Grinches this Christmas, but they weren't any of our apples, at least mine, because I got 4 good apples. Santa came, he brought everybody presents because everybody was on the nice list and everyone was good. At least that's what I got. I would love to know what you guys got. Did you get anything similar to me? Did you get anything different? Would love to hear it all down in the comments. As I always tell you guys, I don't always get to type everything, especially because I've been on like a press-on nails kick lately, and the longer they are, the harder it is for me to type, both on the computer and the phone. It's been a problem. Playing video games has been really hard with them. Aren't they so cute? And it's so much healthier than like the dip nails that I've been doing. I've been loving the press-on nails. But even though I physically am not able to type back and respond to everything, I do read as much as I can. I really do. So I love hearing your ideas. I love hearing your perspectives and your opinions. I might not always agree with you guys, but I still like hearing them. And that's okay. That is what healthy communication is. Like, you don't always have to change sides. You don't always have to agree to have healthy communication. For your well wishes, I hope you all had such a great holiday if you celebrated yesterday. If not, I still hope you had a good week. And as we start getting closer to the new year, I hope you start reflecting on this past year and figure out the things that you're proud of, the things that you might want to do differently in the new year. And I hope that you kind of have a healthy little reflection period over this next week and kind of decide what you want to do with this next year that's about to pop up. Do you guys do resolutions? Like, are those a thing? I have really bad ADHD, so I will like, I used to, I'll like, oh, I'm gonna do a resolution, and then like in an hour I forget what it was. So, and then I remember it like 2 weeks later, but then I forget it again. And as always, if you want a chance for your story to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can submit it to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope to see y'all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.